am now extremely excited to have a fireside chat with Dan Barber, who needs no introduction, but let me try. A chef, author, the co-owner of Blue Hill and Blue Hill at Stone Barns, and the founder of Row 7 Seed Company, whose vegetables have been growing in my garden all summer long. Please give him a round of applause as he hobbles up here. Poor friend. I'm so sorry.
Now, there we go. That's perfect. Look at that. See, you can't ask me the hard questions now because I got your sympathy, and it's going to be softball city.
You usually ask me the hard questions that I can't answer. Before Dan and I dive in, I want to thank some of our in-kind partners, including Organic Valley, Certified Origins, Farmers Gin, and Little Sesame. So please give them a round of applause. So, it's nice to see you, first of all. It's been a minute.
Hello.
Good.
I'm not going to get up and hug you.
No, after. So, Dan, the theme of tonight is hope.
You're not going to ask me what happened. You're not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to share.
I was in a knife fight in a bar. I've always wanted to say I was in a knife fight in a bar.
But you had a knife
but
fight with yourself.
You started laughing. You know that's not true. Because I'm a Jewish kid from the Upper East Side, and you know that I wouldn't be in a bar fight. I'd be the first one running out. No, I dropped a knife on my foot, and I had surgery yesterday, and it's okay. No, it's okay.
And he still came to this event.
No, it's, you know what it is? I've never had this happen, anything like it. So it's, I'm trying to feel a larger message here, which I think I've gotten over the last 2 days, which is, so we had all these events, and my fear is actually sort of realized, which is I'm totally not needed in the kitchen.
That's not true.
Yeah, no, it's true, and that's what's part of the upset is that I'm gonna be discovered to be I'm not indispensable is what it is, and so that's a good lesson for me.
I've been learning
and
that
for
lesson
everybody,
too.
everybody, yeah.
The food tank team doesn't need me, so
Yeah.
I feel you. All right, let's center
Let's get to
ourselves
work. Yes.
on what this conference is about. So the theme of tonight is hope on a plate, and I feel like consumers often feel like they have to sacrifice something, deliciousness, if they're going to eat sustainably and for the planet and for, eat for the climate. Can you talk about why that, that's a misnomer? That's a mistake. You don't have to sacrifice anything.
Did you say you have to eat deliciously or don't? I'm sorry. What was the thing?
I think eaters think that to eat sustainably, it can't be delicious at the same time.
Yeah, well, I grew up with that ethic. I don't know how many. I mean, I'm going to age myself now, but that's how I grew up. Like, you had to force good food down, right?
Right.
It's ridiculous. We all know that was the 70s. It was a dark spot in the culinary landscape, as it were. No, deliciousness and nutrition and I think ecological health, they're all aligned. They're all the same thing.
Yeah.
That's my learning. That's as I get older.
And that's what led to Row 7 in so many ways, right?
Yeah. Delicious.
Talk about that journey.
The journey was like I was an evangelist for old stuff, like heirlooms and heritage everything. I was the big proselytizer for it. And then what happened? I think Jack, is that you out there, man? Or somebody looks just like you? Jack Algier is the founding farmer at Stone Barns Center for Food and Agriculture, amazing farmer. And my great teacher, and he invited a squash breeder to Stone Barns, this very interesting up-and-coming squash breeder. What did I know about up-and-coming squash breeders, seeds? I knew nothing. And he came into the kitchen after dinner. I was very late at night, and I said, I was very awkward. I'm usually, as you know, I'm very awkward. But I said, like, if you're such a great squash breeder, why don't you breed a butternut squash that actually tastes good? Mm-hmm. Why are we always told like to add butter and maple syrup and brown sugar to make the thing? Every recipe.
Sure.
I was kind of kidding, but he was very serious and said the reason I've never bred a butternut squash tastes good is because no one's ever asked me to breed for flavor. And I always say like that was sort of a before, like the curtain went down. It was a before and after moment because up until that time, first of all, who was he talking to? That was the first thing. Who are you talking to? And
Right.
obviously not chefs.
Right.
And you learn very quickly you're talking to the industry. The industry cares about size, shape, color, shelf life, yield, obviously a big one. And so flavor is on the hierarchy of things very low. And what I've learned through this education in seeds is that if you're selecting for all those things I mentioned, you're selecting against flavor is what and nutrition. Flavor and nutrition run along the same genetic lines for most vegetables and grains. So that goes back to your first point, is the opposite of this idea that you got to choke down delicious, flavor and nutrition. You have to choke down nutrition to get to be fed well. So that opened up this whole. Jack actually ended up trialing a variety from this man, Michael Mazurek. I fell in love with a bunch of the trial varieties. One of them in particular, you're going to taste the next generation. Oh, you're saying no to it? Oh my God, you can't say no to this thing. You can't. No, you cannot say no. There's nothing in it. I just want you to know. Is there any allergies? It's just squash. We put squash in the oven this morning for like 3 hours, and we put a puree on it, and now I'm giving it to you. Unplugged. This is as naked a squash as you get. Yeah. Okay. So this is because Jack took a risk with this trial. Of a butternut squash that actually tasted good, that this guy Michael Mazurek created. We developed a relationship, and what you're eating is like the next generation of that incredible breakthrough development, which is a butternut squash that tastes good. He took a butternut squash that tastes good and married it with one of my favorite Japanese varieties, this dry matter squash. It's really intense flavored. The love child of that is what you're eating.
Mm-hmm,
I just want you to know one other thing. That love child that you're eating was rejected by every single distributor and major marketplace in the United States of America. And I know, right? Boo to that. And that is, so what we did, Jack and I and a lot of chefs and farmers around the country is advocate for deliciousness, actually, because as we all know, flavor is like under siege in this country, and to put that out there, first and foremost, the fact that it's organic seed is part of what makes that taste delicious. It's grown organically. We can talk about all that all along the chain. It's the most democratic and the most exciting potential for genetics for our future, and it yields incredibly well. We yielded last year 770,000 pounds on both coasts. It was double the expectation. It is now sold in every region of the country, in major supermarkets all the way to farmers markets. And the reason that happened is not I had so little to do with it. It's incredible. Jack took the introduction and did the amazing thing of trialing that variety, that first variety, the mother of what you're tasting. Hey, is there more coming around? Because I had enough for everybody. Has everyone tasted it? Yeah. Oh, you all tasted it. Okay. When? I did. That was quick.
They did a good job.
It's right. And so that's what happens when you're selecting for flavor. And I think the original recipe starts with the seed.
I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the relationship you had with Jack and the breeder. And you're a chef, but you're also a great thinker. How did that work? How did the relationship between the three of you sort of come to row 7?
It came to row 7 because it yielded well, very, very well in the field, or relatively impressively, and then the flavor was just drop on. And that's when I would get back to why I was evangelist for the flavor, for the old seeds, because that's where flavor is.
Sure.
But actually, what I have come to understand, the reason I'm trumpeting, it is kind of like my baby, my third child here, because the yield is so impressive, and the fact that it's in every region of the country is amazing. But the idea that I was a proselytizer, an evangelist for old seeds is, actually, looking back at it, I feel embarrassed about it, because it's very elitist, actually. Old seeds don't perform well. They are very expensive, and farmers have to charge a lot of money for them. They're very risky agronomically, as they say in the trade. And what Jack's introduction to this guy, Michael Mazurek, got me to realize, that before and after moment, was this idea that modern breeders could take old genetics and modernize them without GMOs, without CRISPR, without any of that crap. Just the stuff our great-grandparents were doing, but they can do it very quickly. They're not shooting in the dark. They can do it in a couple of years and produce something that you just tasted and then improve on it, which is actually what you tasted is the iPhone 2.0, you know? And every year we're gonna roll out improvements, both in yield, in disease resistance for organic farmers, and in flavor, and in storability. All of it can be done. It just needs the investment. And nobody's investing in that. In the last 75 years, nobody's invested in that, honestly. Nobody is investing in seed that is bred for organic farmers. So if all of us were to leave here and go to the supermarket next year, your organic supermarket, and you're buying organic vegetables, 90% of what you're buying organic vegetables is conventional seed. That means it's seed that is brought into the world with chemical cocktails, so it's weak, and then it's thrown to an organic farmer because there's now a big organic community that's willing to pay a little bit more. And then we all complain that organic farmers can't compete with conventional. It's so crazy. It's like you're farming with one hand tied behind your back. So I started the organic seed company because I wanted to bring the seeds into the world like Rambo into the world. They are facing the elements and they are doing what you just tasted. They are strong plants. They do not need chemical cocktails to exist, and they yield incredibly well. And that is the future of food if we're willing to invest in it.
And I love, yes, absolutely. And I love that you've democratized this because I get these seeds every year. I grow those beets, I grow those habanero peppers. Like, it's very democratized what you've been able to do here. They're not that expensive.
That's right. That's the whole, you know, as I'm getting older, you know, I'm in a, I have to be careful about democratization because I'm a white tablecloth chef at a very expensive restaurant. I admit that. And I have a lot to say as a proponent of high-end fine dining restaurants to setting a stage for conversations that otherwise wouldn't be set. But I also realize that, you know, the vectors all point at a very rarefied audience. And it is such an incredible opportunity now through this education in seeds and this idea that we can point the vectors out and we can democratize this. And there is no reason that everyone in America couldn't enjoy what you're enjoying right now. Right. There is really no reason. The fact that the industry has had 75 years investing in chemical agriculture is the only reason. And it's a rigged game. And we can change it, actually, but it has to start with seed.
You know, you talked a little bit about innovation and technology, but you're not dismissive of all technologies. I wonder how you see AI and other innovations helping Row 7 and other seed breeders do this kind of work in a way that is sustainable and regenerative and can continue to democratize.
I'm not a Luddite at all. You know, like I'm as wonderstruck as all of us on new technologies. I just haven't seen a lot of them out there in the world of seeds and actually in farming and agriculture that produce anything delicious to you. I don't see it. So there is old world wisdom that can be speeded up with technology that I really applaud, and that's what you're tasting. That's why it's called the Kogi nut squash, just to put a plug in for the name. The Kogi nut squash was developed in just a few years. That what you just tasted would have taken our grandparents a lifetime, if they were lucky. They were stabbing in the dark. So you can now follow the genetic traits in ways that we couldn't imagine, no one could imagine 30, 20 years ago even. So that kind of technology feels empowering. The technology that is one owns, the patenting, the genetic modification, and it's not this isn't a you know, Republican Democratic thing. It's not and I really swear it's not about trying to go back to our grandparents. I've been arguing for looking forward. I just don't see those technologies as actually being fair in the end. You know, they're exciting, but they end up being owned by very few. And who the hell needs a food system where even fewer people own what we eat? Right now, 65% of our seed supply, which is our food supply, not in this country, but in the world, 65% is in the hands of 4 companies. I just got the chills saying it myself. I'm giving myself the chills. 4 companies, and all 4 of those companies are chemical companies. So if 4 companies control our food supply, and they're all chemical companies, what incentive do those companies have to produce what you just tasted? Nobody makes money on seeds. I can tell you, I own a seed company. That's not the way to make the money. The way to make the money is on the intervention It's the chemical. It's the package. And that's where all the investment goes, and it's a lot of investment. And the payoff is you get this, the seed is the Trojan horse into the farm. And then everything else that comes with it is the payoff. And that's why I say it's a rigged game. It's totally unfair. And what we need to do to rise up against it, really, is to go through flavor and deliciousness like that. I really think, I'm making it obviously too simplistic because there's so many roadblocks everywhere you look, and the power, the concentration of these companies is frightening. But then you taste something like that went from zero, from an idea, to 780,000 pounds in every region of the country overnight. So, we can complain about the American food system because there's a lot to complain about, American food culture, because we don't have much of a food culture. But when something tastes good and it's hedonistic and pleasurable, people actually kind of dive for it. And we change gears in America with food culture with dizzying speed. So that's a positive. You don't find that in Japan. Right. In France and Italy, like in America, we change habits quickly,
right.
And we're willing to pay a little bit more for something that is truly good.
Well, you mentioned investment earlier, and investment is needed to sort of further this along. We can change what we invest in. You can have longer term thinking, and I think people come together during Climate Week to talk about finance for climate resilience, finance for food and agriculture solutions. What do you want investors in the finance community to hear?
Are we my investors or
no, investors in general?
Yeah, I'll tell you, in row 7, I've got a dream, and so that's why I'm free to speak like this crazy talk. It's like I need, I have people who are patient, and I have people who know a lot about food and really wanted to change, right. And see that in a biological world, which is the world we live in, not in a technology world, in a biological world, it takes a long time. Yeah. And although I come back to the kogi nut, which is at a long time, that's a pretty good ROI on an investment, actually, if you look at it that way. But what do I want? What I want investors to feel is what all of us feel, which is the long-term health and well-being and fairness of food and flavor and nutrition is in the hands of the long game. That's the only way to do it. So yeah, I hope there's some investors in here that are thinking that way. I feel like there's some.
I hope so too.
Some there is, yeah.
Dan, I want to shift gears a little bit. Last week, we lost a visionary leader in the food and agriculture movement. The great farmer and thinker Fred Kirschenmann passed away, and Stone Barns would not exist without him. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about your work and your friendship with him.
Fred was my biggest inspiration because for how many of you knew Fred in this room and were lucky enough to meet him? Yeah, he was a gentle giant, and I think the strength of Fred's impact was he really farmed. He was the visionary organic grain farmer, biodynamic. He went way beyond organic at a time when no one did it. He really was the trailblazer. And you often say, for those kind of people, boy, that guy was ahead of his time, which is another way of saying he was a very unhappy person. That was not true of Fred. He really lived his life. He was a theologist and one of the smartest guys I've ever met, and put into practice what he believed. And yes, at Stone Barns, when the Rockefeller family was interested in doing something to demonstrate everything that we're talking about, I felt it was important that somebody advocate in a way that I was unable to, actually. And Fred was the perfect conduit to larger ideas and to a long-term vision. What are we doing here that we can look back on in 50 years or 100 years, 200 years, that makes a difference? And he was true to that and extremely influential, and I owe him everything that's happened to me since I met him.
I feel like we all owe him a lot. Let's give Fred Kirschenmann a round of applause, please. So in the few minutes we have left, I want you to leave a call to action to this audience during Climate Week. This is the beginning. What do you want them to do this week?
I would take a page from Fred, and this, I'm just thinking this off the cuff, but what is the line from, I think it was Mario Cuomo said, you campaign in poetry, right, and you govern in prose. And that's a nice way to talk about what Fred did. His vision was large. It was poetic. It was magical. But his everyday application for himself, he held himself to a very high standard on his own farm, but also with other farmers, was practical and not just influential to others, but meaningful on the ground, acre by acre. So I would like to think at this week that we're kicking off here that we have in all of us that combo platter, because we need it. We need the people who are on the ground, the farmers are on the ground as always, and we need the poetry, and we need it together in one room. I think this is a choir that sings to the same tune. I get that feeling we're in the West Village of New York on the stage with you, Danny. What is the thing? You preach to the choir so they'll sing louder and sing in tune. And that's what we need more of this week as we confront some of the biggest challenges we've ever faced. And I'm thrilled to kick off this week sitting here talking to you. Thank you.
Same. Thank you so much, Dan Barber. I love you.
Thank you.